Today we'll look at another technique. It will be using tables and drawings. We'll look at the passage from Luke chapter 23, the story of the Crucifixion. Altogether, there are 18 verses in all. It's quite a long passage, and it has been difficult to remember all the information from passages like this. So today we'll be looking at how to memorize all this. I would want you to first download this worksheet and print it so that you can follow along with these videos as you write when the video is being taught. Also print along this piece of worksheet 2. This is done by Miss Moy. It has been helpful for many students as you write in the information to remember the order and the story of the crucifixion. First, we want to look at the background of this story. You'll notice that firstly, it is in a place called the skull. So we'll just draw a small little hill, and we are being told that there are two other criminals who are being crucified together with Jesus, one on his right hand and the other on his left. Now, after that, we'll be looking now at all the different parts, the middle portions. And I want you to first look at this, that Jesus spoke 3 times, and I highlight it with yellow, 3 times in yellow. And we want to look at the blue. The blue are groups of people. So we'll notice that firstly, we have the soldiers, and then the people, these are the crowd who are there watching, thinking that there is something interesting to see. Next, we have the Jewish leaders, and then the soldiers are being repeated again, so I put it as number 1. We have 2 criminals there, number 4 and 5, criminal 1 and criminal 2. We also have the army officer and those who knew Jesus, inclusive of his disciples, the woman who knew him, and they are standing quite a distance away. So this one, number 2, is again the same crowd of people as we have seen in front. So there are 7 groups of people in this scene. Lastly, the one that is highlighted as red, they are items and things. Altogether, there are 3 things, okay? And if we put them together like this in the middle portion, we'll be able to see that Jesus says 3 things. There are 7 groups of people and 3 things happen, all right? So if you downloaded this, you will notice that the first part is Jesus, 3 things that he's mentioned. And the 7 groups, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 groups of people and the things they say and do. And lastly, on the right hand side are the 3 things that being mentioned. Now, as we go through the middle portion of the scripture, I will separate it in 3. It will be looking like this. First part was when Jesus spoke as he was crucified. When Jesus was just being crucified, what happened? The second part is the conversation between Jesus and the 2 criminals, the middle portion. And lastly, when Jesus died, as he breathed his last, what happened? So I separate these 3 into 3 parts so that it's easier for us to remember. Now, as we look at the first portion here, where what Jesus spoke and what happened when Jesus was first being crucified. So firstly, we notice beginning from verse 34, Jesus said, "Forgive them, Father, they don't know what they are doing." And then we have the soldiers who are trying to win Jesus' clothing by throwing off dice. We have the people who are standing there and watching and seeing what's happening. And then we have the Jewish leaders who are making fun of him. This is what they said. He said to others, "Let him save himself if he is the Messiah whom God has chosen." Again, the soldiers here, other than just taking his clothing, they too made fun of Jesus. They came out and offered him cheap wine. And what did they say? They say, "Save yourself if you are the king of the Jews." And lastly, there's a signboard. There's a sign on top of Jesus' cross that says, "This is the king of the Jews." So 6 things, and I've put them in number. And now we want to put them into this table. Number 1, the things that Jesus said. Okay, Jesus said, "Forgive them, Father, they don't know what they are doing." Secondly, the things done by the soldiers, they divided his clothes among themselves by throwing dice. Thirdly, there are the people there who are standing around and watching. Fourthly was they were the Jewish leaders. They made fun of Jesus. What did they say? I put a bubble here. He saved others, let him save himself. He is the Messiah whom God has chosen. Number 5 here, we are back to the soldiers. The soldiers made fun of him. They came up to him and offered him cheap wine. And finally, number 6, there's a sign on top of Jesus' cross that says, "This is the King of the Jews." Now we are moving to the second portion, which is Jesus' conversation with the criminal. So we have criminal 1. The first criminal said, "Aren't you the Messiah? Save yourself and save us." So he was insulting Jesus. Now the second criminal rebuked him. He said 3 things, 1, 2, 3 over here. The first thing he said is, "Don't you fear God? You received the same sentence, the same punishment as Jesus did." Number 2, "Ours, however, is only right because we are getting what we deserve for what we did. But Jesus, he has done no wrong." And number 3, he spoke to Jesus, "Remember me, Jesus, when you come as king." And that's when Jesus replied, "I promise you that today you will be with me in paradise." So 3 things here, the conversation. And we want to put the same thing into the table. So make sure you write it in. Number 7, criminal 1 hurled insult at Jesus. What did he say? He said, "Aren't you the Messiah? Save yourself and save us." The second criminal rebuked him. 3 things he mentioned. Number 1, "Don't you fear God? You receive the same sentence." Copy it in here. The second one, write it in here. And thirdly, write the third thing he said right at the bottom. Now in number 9, Jesus' response, you write this in. "I promise you that today you will be in paradise with me." Now we move on now to the third part of the crucifixion, when Jesus spoke just when he was dying. So when Jesus almost died, what happened? Firstly, we have the sun. The sun stopped shining and there was darkness, covered the whole country, 3 hours long, 12 noon to 3 p.m. It's good to remember the time. Secondly, there was the curtain. This is in the temple, the curtain separating the holy place and the most holy place, and that curtain was torn in 2. Now, and then Jesus said, as he was dying, "Father, into your hands I place my spirit." So when this happened, there are a group of people who watched it and saw it, and this is their response. Firstly, the army officer. So this is the leader of the soldiers. He saw and he praised God, saying, "Certainly he was a good man." The other one was the crowd. Just now they was watching, but now when they saw this, they went back home beating their breast. Means they are in sorrow, they're in regret. They was watching the spectacle, but now they saw what happened and they was going home in sorrow. Lastly, Jesus' friends, those who know Jesus, these disciples, inclusive of the woman, they watched at a distance. The reason was because they don't want to be implicated. They don't want, because the soldiers too were trying to catch them. So they were a bit far away from all this that was happening. And with this, now we want to put into the same table as well. Continuing from number 10, the sun stopped shining, 12 noon to 3 p.m. Also, the curtain hanging in the temple was torn in 2. And here Jesus said, his third sentence, "Father, in your hands I place my spirit." And then the army officer who said nothing in front, he said when he saw, he said he praised God, and certainly he was a good man. Continuing to number 13, the people who were there earlier on watching, now they are going back home beating their breasts in sorrow. Finally, number 14, his friends, or those who knew Jesus, stood at a distance to watch. They watched all this they saw, but because they were not being mentioned in front, only right at the end that it was said that they actually watched the whole thing. Now, you would want to take out the second piece, second worksheet. It'll be good as well now to copy all this information. You notice that the numbers are there, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you follow the numbers, you should be able to go to the same process, which is here, 1, 2, write in the information, 3, 4, what the Jewish leaders did and what did they say. And number 5, the soldiers, what else they do and what did they say. Number 6 is the sign on top of the cross. And then we have 7, criminal 1, and 8, criminal 2 over here. And Jesus responds. Number 10, we have the sun and the curtain. Number 11, the things that Jesus said right before he died. And when the people who saw Jesus' death, which is number 12, army officer, what he did and what he say. And finally, the people, which is the same group of people here, what did they do? And in ending, those who knew Jesus, what did they do? Okay, so you rewrite the whole process. For some of you who are more creative, you might want to draw so that you can be able to remember better. So you notice that I have put the crowds here, the beginning part and the ending part, the Jewish leaders, what they do and what they say. The first criminal here did one thing, say one thing. Jesus said 3 in total. Criminal 2 said 3 things. The soldiers did something, and also the wine and something they say. And at the end, the army leader, what he said at the end, and his friends, what they were doing. And 3 items, the sun, what time, and the signboard, as well as the curtain that being torn into. So maybe by putting it into a drawing like this, it will be helpful for you to remember as well. For those of you who are more creative, you might want to do this. So it's up to you which one you want to print out and fill in, but it should be able to help you to remember the story of the crucifixion, okay? So now pause the video, memorize it, because we would want to answer these questions. Oops, that's missing here. This is 2019. This is the question that came out in 2019. Give an account of the crucifixion of Jesus at the place called the Skull. They gave 13 marks that year. So pause the video here, try to write the entire story, give yourself about 15 minutes to 20 minutes to write it all out, and then we'll go through the marking scheme and see how many marks you scored. Okay, pause the video. Welcome back. Now we want to see and count your marks. Take out a red pen and mark yourself. Let's look at the first thing. The first thing you want to see is the background. Did you write about these 2 men who are criminals? If you did, give yourself 1 mark there. Now the skull is already in the question, so there are no extra mark given. You'll notice that this bottom part is actually very similar to the top. Therefore, if you didn't get the first mark up here and you write down here, you give yourself the same mark. So altogether, only 1 mark, okay? Now the middle portion, altogether, there are 20 marks. Just check if you have all of this information. Give yourself a tick there if you can find them. Just tick, give yourself 20 marks. Just pause the video and make sure you have given yourself all the marks. And how many marks did you get? Did you manage to get a good mark? I would love to increase this to 16 marks and see whether you are able to get the total 16 marks as well. If you didn't, do try it again, test yourself again and see whether you are able to improve, okay? So all the best in memorizing the story of the crucifixion. This is one of the important stories in the book of Luke. It seems that if you look through past years, this question is being asked often as well. All right, thank you for watching. Please like the video. Please share the video to all your friends as well and subscribe so that you will see the new videos that's coming up.